Hey, great day, Grow Squad. Hope you're doing well. Hope that you're having a great week. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Of course, you know I am your host, Eugene Hamilton. And check this out. Again, stats are showing us that many of you all are just dating us. All right. But we're trying to make this thing official. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast so you can get updates, notifications as to what's happening, what's going on, and what's next. So again, I hope that you are doing great. I thank you so much for your time, for your attention. I know that time is precious, and we're going to get right to it. Let's go ahead and pray and get started. God, thank you for today. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for their contribution to the world. Continue to remind them that they are special, that they are important, that what gifts that they do have, the world needs them. Bless them wherever they might be. In your name, amen. Today, we're going to talk about letting go. I know immediately you're thinking about a person. You're thinking about a job. You're thinking about, but no, pause before you go there. How many of you know that it's hard to embrace those two words? Let go. How many of you know that it's difficult to be honest with ourselves about what needs to go? Have you ever outgrown some clothes? Let's say you gained a little weight. Let's say you put on a few pounds. Let's say you had a growth spurt. Listen, I'll even go back to my little son who was 4 years old. He has this shirt that we bought when he was 2 that he doesn't want to let go, but it no longer serves him. He can't wear it. It's too tight. He looks wild when he puts it on. I mean, it's just like, brother, please stop. But have you ever gone through that in life? Where there's something that you've outgrown. It could be a group. It could be a relationship. It could be a job. It could simply be a mindset. Have you ever thought to yourself, in fact, I battle with this all the time, where it's time to let go of something. It could be on my bookshelf that, hey, listen, you purchasing some new books. Those books, you read them. They're good. They're still, but you remember the lessons that are in the books, give them away. But because I want to make sure I keep this, I don't even make space or room enough for something new. Oftentimes, because you and I don't naturally know when to let go, check this out. There are times in our lives where we miss out. We block blessings. We cut ourselves off from receiving something new because we can't let go of what no longer serves us. You know, it's painful to watch an old athlete think that they're 21. It's painful to watch your favorite person sometimes get old. Because what they once were, right, or what they were when you were introduced to them, they no longer are, right? And sometimes you say to yourself, not that it's time to let them go. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes individuals that we see that are our favorite players, that are our favorite singer, our favorite actor, you're like, man, yeah, it's time for you to let that go. I'm not letting you go. I know you. I love you. I like you. I appreciate you. You know, even if you're married, right? Have you ever gone through the process of telling your spouse, your partner, saying, hey, listen, yeah, let that go. Whatever that hobby was, whatever that hobby is, whatever, I was watching, I think it's coming out on Netflix soon, but there was a Michael Wilbon? Maybe it wasn't Michael Wilbon, but one reporter or journalist that is on the Golf Channel, and he often calls games, NFL games. He was sitting down with Michael Jordan. All right, Michael Jordan. If you are part of the debate about who the greatest player of all times, you've heard his name, right? People oftentimes will say Michael is the GOAT, and I didn't know that people didn't know what GOAT meant. Let me help those who may be watching or listening that are not familiar with that acronym. GOAT means greatest G of all time, right? So people have this GOAT debate, whether or not Michael Jordan is the GOAT, whether or not LeBron James is the GOAT, whether or not, and they put different names in, Kareem, or different ones in there. But a lot of people, especially from my age group, where we were growing up and starting to watch basketball during the height, the pinnacle, and the prime of Michael Jordan's run, they think he's the best of all time, the greatest of all time. But whether you think so or not, the interview happened. And he was asked if he missed the game of basketball. In fact, he was asked, does he miss the game of basketball? He said, absolutely. The follow-up question was along the lines of, when was the last time you picked up a basketball? And they began to talk about how he was at some event and they rented a house, Airbnb, and, he had paid for the home, but the owner, when they found out that this was really Michael Jordan, they asked could the grandkids come by and meet him. He said, absolutely, they can come by and meet me. I don't know if he knew or not, so let me not say he didn't know, but there was a basketball court on the property. Of course, the grandkids have only heard stories. They were not born when Michael Jordan retired. He retired in 2000, I think. They weren't born when Michael Jordan retired or when he was playing, right? So they've only heard stories and they've watched a few YouTube videos. And so the grandfather asked Michael Jordan, would you shoot one shot for my grandson? And Michael Jordan said this. It was so profound. He said, I hadn't been that nervous since I won the last championship in Chicago. And that was in 96, I believe. He said, I hadn't been that nervous because I didn't want to let that kid down. However, I knew that because I had let basketball go, my skills might be rusty. He said, just so happened he was able to get a good rhythm on the ball, and he made the one shot, and the kid went bananas. But he said this. He said, man, I oftentimes think about if there were a magic pill. I love basketball so much. If there were a magic pill I could take to get back on the court, I'd take that pill. That's how much I miss basketball. I would take that pill so I can put them shorts on, put my J's on, and get out there and play ball. He says this, and I'm done with this story. He said, but I know that I'm better served sitting here in this interview with you than popping my Achilles on the basketball court. I knew when I left, it was time to let it go. Sometimes in your life, you can't get to what's next because you ignore the signs that it's time to let it go. When it was time for me to get serious about my career, I was living in a certain town, hanging around certain people. Even though I had decided to change my life and my ways, it was something in the back of my head, still thinking about what they were doing, thinking about, why it wouldn't hurt if I go by just one time. It wouldn't hurt if I just engage in whatever they're engaging in one more time. And I had to actually let go of that town. Let go of that city. Let go of that environment. I didn't let go of the people in terms of I'm still cordial. I still speak with them, but I don't hang with them. And sometimes you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And the power of letting go is directly connected to your ability, don't miss this, to conduct an honest life audit. Yeah. Your ability to let go is connected to your ability to sit down with a blank sheet of paper and make a list of what's serving you on the left, and on the right, make a list of what no longer is serving you. And on the back of that same sheet of paper, ask yourself, what am I willing to let go of that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on? What am I willing to let go of that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to let go of that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing to pivot on that's no longer serving me? What am I willing that I've squeezed every ounce of juice from that particular fruit, and it no longer is going to serve me. If I keep that fruit, it's just going to get rotten. It's going to start smelling in the house. What am I keeping it for? It's time to let it go. What is it in your life that you've got to be honest with yourself and say to yourself, as I'm conducting this life audit? Now, it's funny because I see people go on, especially in the Christian community, they go on these fasts. Right? Maybe they go on a Daniel fast, or maybe they go on some kind of 21-day for clarity, for reset. And those are oftentimes great. I mean, those are great, actually. In sidebar, fasting is great, right, for a reset for your body and for your temple. But oftentimes, people will take things out of their diet that shouldn't be there in the first place. It blows my mind that people will go through a process of detox, and they realize, even though the first few days was difficult because you've been dependent on that, whether it be coffee, whether it be processed sugar, whatever it is. I'm using it as an example because I just talked about the Daniel fast. But you realize how much clarity you got. You realize how stronger you was. You realize how much more focused you were. And then when that fast is over, you go right back to what you let go of. I know fasting is only for a period, and then you kind of, end the fast. But there's some things that you fasted from that you need to fast from for the rest of your life. There's some things you detox from, and it's like, yeah, I realize I don't even need that, so I'm gonna let that sit right over there. Some things you find yourself, you flush your system out, and you say to yourself, oh, I can function without it. Why do you go back to it then? Do a life audit. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I really should be letting go of? And the last thing you should do, if you're going to really engage in a productive letting go session, and this is hard for people to do. It's hard for me to do. It's hard for me to do. So I know it's hard for most human beings to do, and that is to get honest feedback from people that really know you. Yeah. To get honest feedback from people that you don't put on airs for. They don't just see you at your best. They see you sometimes at your worst. You got to ask them kind of people, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your kids, whether it be a parent, whether it be a best friend, whether it be a coworker. Ask those people that don't see you at your best. Ask them their honest opinion about, what have you noticed in my life that I should let go of? What have you noticed in my life that is not serving me? I'm thinking about these 5 things, but what do you think about this list that I have? Do you have something? And sometimes that person may give you feedback that would suggest, I agree with that. Sometimes they were like, oh, that one not a big deal, but add this. Get honest feedback from people. Because you know why? It's important that we understand that, in fact, I said this last week, go back to last week's episode, that people really want to help you. But sometimes it's difficult to help people that refuse to be honest with themselves about themselves. Sometimes it's difficult. I remember there was a person that was part of our community that I was serving that was struggling with drugs. The drug of choice was cocaine, right? The family was trying to help that person get off of drugs, and so they would make appointments at the rehab center. They would pay for a bed, and they would tell the individual, the bed is ready. They're ready to receive you on Friday, intake, so forth. And they would get disappointed when the person didn't show up. I'm like, y'all got to quit this. And they do it again. 3 months later, maybe the individual would have a crash out, and they would hit rock bottom. They would come to the house and have a sobbing session and say, I'm ready to turn my life around. And the family would go and get them a bed at the rehab center, and they wouldn't show up. So one day I had an honest conversation with the family and said, hey, listen, you're going to keep wasting money until they're ready. Until they're ready to be real honest, until they're ready to get real raw about how far off course they are, you wasting your money. Because it's hard to help people that aren't honest with themselves and will not accept honest feedback. I'm begging you to be honest with you. I'm begging you to evaluate your life. I'm begging you to look at your life and say to yourself, you know what? This is affecting my kids in a bad way. It's affecting my marriage in a negative way. It's affecting my professional life in a negative way. I need to let go of that, whatever it is. You identify it. You be real. You be honest. You be open with yourself. And I can't make any promises, but evaluate your life after you make the decision and see if it gets better. See if you get clearer. See if you begin to achieve more of your goals because you are willing to be brutally honest with yourself. Man, there's somebody, I promise you, there's somebody that you know that needs to hear this episode. There's somebody that you know that got some stuff in their life that they need to let go. But I want you to, number one, first of all, go back and listen to this again. Sometimes as you listen to something the first time, you hear certain things, but when you go back a second time, something else pops out and you're like, oh, wow. So I'm going to encourage you to listen to this episode again. There's some bars, some nuggets that were dropped that I think will be of benefit to you in your life. And then think about somebody that you can share this out with. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to meet me back here next week, same place, same time. Excellent. I hope that you continue to go, grow, and glow this week. Don't forget to drop by my website and start getting those. Don't wait till there's a holiday rush. Just go ahead and start getting those Christmas gifts for those kids. Get my book, Go, Grow, and Glow, that will help your young people become resilient, become responsible, and figure out their path in life. Thank you again for being part of the family. Again, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Be good. Peace.